Oh, hey, TV people. I'm Mark Norman.
It's well understood that comedians have themes, and when we think of themes, we may first think of recurring subject material as a theme. But of course, there's so much more that can make a comedian unique than just their subject material, like attitude and tone, use of stage space, cadence. I think you get the point. But let's ignore those modes of delivery for a moment and focus on this video's main idea, which can also be a theme: joke structure. Specifically, how Mark Norman writes his jokes. So let's dive into Mark Norman's mastering of analogies.
Give a big round of applause for Mark Norman, everybody. Come on.
Thanks for coming out. Good to be here. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Hey, good shirt. How are you? Cleavage. That's exciting. Hey, don't get weird. You brought it. All right.
If you've ever seen Mark Norman perform or speak, you probably know that he's a bit introverted or socially awkward.
Hey, Steven. See you around. Love you. Love you. That was bad.
But there's nothing awkward or clumsy about his joke writing. He's got a tight, punchy style of delivering back-to-back jokes, and after you've seen him a few times, you'll likely find that analogies are a big theme of his comedy.
I'm not racist. I look at racism the same way I look at Nickelback, you know? Yeah, you know, it's fun to joke about, but you never want to see it live. Right.
Now, of course, this is only how Mark writes some of his jokes. He doesn't rely solely on one formula, but he does love a good analogy, and personally, I think he's all but mastered them.
He's right.
But what makes a good analogy? And how does Mark Norman write them?
How do your analogies come to you most easily?
Like, if you want to compare a table to your girlfriend, you got to just start breaking down all the little things. Like, okay, table has legs, she has legs. Tables are stiff, she's stiff. You know, she's expensive, the table's expensive. You got to start, and then, but the key to analogy is you get those logical things that add up, but it's got to have the same feeling. Because a dick and a gun are very similar. If somebody pulled out either one right now, we'd all be like, whoa, is that meant for me? Jesus Christ. Don't point it at me. Damn. Dick and a gun, very similar. Both pointy. They shoot things. They come in different sizes. You can get a pistol or a shotgun. I'm circumcised, so I'm sawed off. I had one about somebody said, "Do you want a gay kid? How would you feel?" And I said, "Well, it's like having a French fry and a basket of onion rings."
Having a gay son's like finding a French fry and your onion rings. You know, you're like, well, it's not what I expected, but I like these too.
It's got to taste the same, smell the same. It's got to make your brain go, oh, those two things do go together, instead of just logically and accurately they do match.
While these few jokes are great, they alone don't represent all the kinds of analogies that Mark Norman does. Because just as Mark uses a variety of joke structures in addition to analogies, he also uses a variety of analogies. Some analogies are more situational in nature.
Does anyone else have that one friend where you go out to a bar to try to meet girls, and like 20 minutes into it, they just go, screw this, let's go to a strip club? I don't get that logic. You know, to me, that's like going fishing, not catching anything, and being like, screw this, let's go to the aquarium.
Some analogies are more direct.
I'm not a big strip club guy. You know, strippers are just a big tease to me. Like, I look at strippers the same way I look at fire alarms. You know, I'm like, oh man, I really want to touch that. But I know if I do, I'll have to leave the building.
Some are only meant to be funny and unusual crossovers, while others serve to get a specific point across. Mark explains it best here.
This is what it is. When you set up a premise, they don't give a shit. This is a thought you've had a million times.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to make that thought get into their brain, and analogy is a great vehicle for that. One of my friends, he only eats grass-fed beef. You realize how crazy that is? That means he gets to pick what he eats. That's pretty good. And here's the weird thing. Cows eat grass. That's what we mess with our food. When something eats what it's supposed to, we brag about it. That's like saying, hey, you know, my 4-year-old is sober. Get the hell out of here! What? Father of the year over here.
So I'm actually going to put the analogies aside for a moment, because there's another thing that Mark does that may be confused with analogies, called mapping. One definition reads, exploring an idea through the filter of another scenario's language and objects. I think the best way to explain what this is to actually use Mark Norman's comedy. If you take one of his analogies and actually create a scene with it, it would look like this.
I don't know, I feel like a lot of guys look at marriage the way women look at anal. You know, we're both just like, well, we all knew this day was coming. Let's get it over with. I'm not sure it's even natural. Right? Either way, when it's all done, we'll get new sheets.
We can prevent children. We can't prevent a hangover. No. At least some people want kids. I've never woken up like, whoa, I am really hungover, but you know what? I think I want to keep it. Yeah.
While he is still comparing two very different items, what he gives you is a scene comprising of an unusual combination of two different scenarios. Here's one clip where he goes back and forth using both analogies and mapping.
We're kind of in like a weird word prohibition. Can't say this, can't say that. That's why I feel like every now and then we should all go to a politically incorrect speakeasy. Just somewhere we can all go to say horrible stuff and nobody cares. You got no hate in your heart. You don't want to hurt anybody. But if you can't say it there, give us a place you can. Right? You go down some creaky stairs. You bang on a big steel door. The guy's like, what's the password? Retarded. Get in here! All right. It's like the 90s again. You know? Because offensive words, they're like alcohol. Sure, you can abuse it. Sure, you can hurt people. If you do it responsibly, it's a good time. Yeah? Just don't do it at work, don't do it around kids, but go home, close the door, take the edge off. Ah, midget. Right? I don't want to say little people. That's like drinking no duels.
Now, don't misconstrue this video. These two kinds of jokes are not simple templates used to write jokes easily. It's quite the opposite. Every joke takes time to craft. Take it from Mark Norman himself.
That joke took forever, by the way.
Yeah?
I mean, well, I'm playing with fire already. I'm saying midget and retard and all that.
Yeah.
So, like, already I'm turning people off. And if the joke's not perfect and executed just right, I lost them. Because they're like, this guy's just up there saying retard. And there are jokes that will bomb many times where you're like, I know there's something here. And if you just keep tinkering, you just find the right angle. Or this, go that way with it, go this way with it. But you're close. If it hit you as funny, there's something there. Maybe you just can't find it.
Thank you for supporting comedy. Consider subscribing for more. Also, visit local comedy shows. Do you like this kind of content? Your feedback and recommendations are more than welcome